Be bold. Be brave. Be extraordinary. Be vulnerable. Be real. Be curious. Be true. Be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Katherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Katherine McIntosh.
All right, my magical friends. So welcome to today's episode. As always, we come to you live. Today I'm live from Aspen, from my home. And so today's episode is all about how to take the leap. And I want to start out with a story from my childhood. Da-da-da. So one day I had come home from school early and I find my mother surprised by my barging in the house. She is in the kitchen. There's like a pile. We had this really big kitchen, but she had this like desk, and on this desk was this pile of paperwork, and she is on, an old phone back in the day before we had cell phones. She's on this phone with a cord, right? Pacing back and forth, chain smoking, kind of shocked that I'd caught her smoking in the house. And she is kind of like frothing, right? She's sweating, she's panting, she's racing back and forth. And my mother had basically had a quite successful real estate career for a particular real estate company in her city, and had decided on a whim, because she was disrespected, to quit. And I think it shocked her as much as it shocked everyone else in her office, because she was the number one real estate agent. She had gotten all these accolades. They had just given her an award. She got a trip and a fur coat and like all this stuff. And she quit out of her mouth. And she comes home and she's calling everyone she knows to figure out what's next. And so today's episode is really about how to take a leap, right? And so sometimes we take a really big leap, like my mother. She's like, God, chain smoker. She's no longer a smoker, but back in the day when she was stressed out, tobacco was her sort of vice of choice. And I remember just being like, Mom, you're going to be okay. You're so successful. Like you could get hired by anybody. I just remember in my head being like, you got this. Obviously, you did the right thing, right? But of course, at that time, when we leave something really secure that we've known for a long time behind, it can be really scary. It can feel terrifying. And the first thing that we usually do when we either take the leap unexpectedly, like my mother quitting her job or quitting the company that she worked for, she ended up starting her own company, and she went on to be really successful. And she still is to this day in her 70s, rocking it, playing golf, and she's an inspiration to me. She taught me to always like fight for myself. She taught me to be independent. She taught me that it's possible to work for yourself your whole life. And I am so lucky for the last 20 years have been independent. And every time I look at like, the idea of working for someone else or like doing something else, I'm like, I can't ever imagine that. So I will forever be grateful to her for her courage, for her tenacity, and for showing me what's possible when you truly dive into trusting you. Now, there are a couple things, because some of you might be listening and might be on the edge of a life change. You might be ready to take a leap. You might be wanting something different in your life. And you also might simultaneously feel like you're slightly paralyzed because you don't know what to do. And so, with any of us, we're all on our own journey and all at different times and at different paces. And it is not really fair to compare our journey to anyone else's journey, because where you are in your life and your life circumstances and your life experiences are unique to anyone or anything else on this planet. And so when you stop comparing where you're at, becomes easier, right? And you begin to sort of trust yourself and the choices that you make. And so today, in today's episode, looking at my notes, we're going to, oops, forgot to do that. We're just going to kind of go through some of the things that you can do in order to maybe make change less scary, right? To maybe not feel overwhelmed when you know that it's time for something different. So here's what I want to say for a little bit is, every time that we get frustrated with our current situation, so whether it's your financial situation, your relationship situation, your career or your job, right? You tend to want to, right? You tend to maybe get overwhelmed, but you also tend, if you get frustrated, when you're frustrated, we tend to judge that or make it wrong. But when you're frustrated, you're planting seeds for a new opportunity. Yeah. So hold on. I think we have some background noise, Chris. So you plant seeds for a new opportunity. And so I want to invite you to consider that if you're frustrated, instead of looking at it as a bad sign, it's actually a good sign because your situation might not have changed. You might be in the same relationship, you might have the same job, but your tolerance or your enjoyment of that situation, that's what's changed. And when you change your perspective of your current situation and it turns to sort of an energy of frustration or discontent or, upset, that is when, unbeknownst to you, you're actually planting seeds for a new energy to appear, right? For something different to come into your life. And so there's a difference between taking a leap in a way that is completely terrifying to you and taking a leap in a way that, like, I was studying to get my real estate license. Gosh, a long time ago. So I just left grad school, realized it wasn't the right choice for me. But I got a year's worth of education in grad school studying somatic psychology. And it was an incredible year, an expensive, but incredible year. And I wouldn't change it for the world. But after that, I was kind of trying to figure it out. I knew I'd always wanted to go into energy healing, but I had this point of view. If you've listened to previous episodes, I had this point of view that I couldn't make enough money doing energy work, right? Doing what I loved. I thought that I wouldn't be able to make a multiple six-figure income. And so, of course, I went practical. And so I was studying to get my real estate license and really ready to leave my old job. And I remember my friend just saying to me, Catherine, I'm really proud of you. You're leaping smart. You're jumping smart. You're preparing yourself so that when it is time, you can take that break. And I went, okay, I'm glad you're giving me an outside perspective because inside my world at that time, it felt intolerable. I was frustrated by my current, career situation. And so, the thing is all of us have these moments in where we're being, you guys like my hot pink for you if you're watching on video. Got my hot pink jumpsuit on. Just got done with an amazing hike in the fall leaves. And so, as the seasons change, so do we. And so taking this leap really comes down to, are you willing to trust you? Now, don't leap stupid, right? So I always invite people in my practice, in my consulting practice, to, make a decision that allows their nervous system to somewhat stay calm. So if I look back at my teenage years when I shocked my mom by coming home early and she's chain smoking in the kitchen with the window open, blowing out the screen, freaking out that she had just left her job, my mother had this sort of determination in her, and I knew she would be okay. And so, she was prepared and it was required. So in that instantaneous moment, there was massive fight or flight running through her veins, right? Running through her nervous system. But sometimes that fight or flight organizes you to survival, right? It's those moments where we prolong the fight or flight. So if you're in a job you hate and you all of a sudden quit your job, but you have no backup plan, that is creating a prolonged fight or flight. So my mom didn't really stay in fight or flight for very long in that situation. She went on to get some investors. She went on to open her own real estate company. She partnered with a successful real estate, organization, and she hit the ground running, right? And so there's these moments in our lives in which we think we can't, but rarely are we asking the question, what can we do? And I really believe there's this giant myth going around. When you look at people who've been successful, all you see is like the successful part. You don't see all the things that they did prior to obtaining the success, right? And so that applies to you in your life. Where are you? And the great question you can ask is, what can I do every day starting today to make like small choices that basically create compounding interest over time that create a lot more momentum down the road? We tend to be sort of quick fix thinkers, right? We want the instantaneous, and that can lead to a lifetime of failure because it sets you up for this idea that there are outside resources to rely on. But the truth is that when you trust your gut, it's finding and showing up with the internal resources inside of you and finding things that you can do, small habits compounded over time, create maximum results, right? But here's the deal, and you guys may or may not like me for this, is you have to let go of the expectation of the result you want. Okay. You have to let go of the expectation of the result you want. 9 times out of 10, when you start, you ask any entrepreneur who started a business, they probably meandered in a direction that they weren't expecting when they first started, because the path is not linear, right? The path is a never ending, right, experience of following your intuition of what can you do now? What's next? Right? What doors are opening? And I will tell you that I didn't think I'd be where I am today, and the things I'm able to experience and the types of people and clients and sort of things that I'm doing energetically behind the scenes that I never thought I'd be a part of. And, if I would have sort of kept my head down and committed to just one path or just one way or just one practice, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I wouldn't be working with a lot of the people I'm able to work with. And so, for all of you out there, I want you to sort of grasp this concept that failure is a good thing. If any of you have heard Sarah Blakely's story, she's the founder of Spanx. Her father used to ask her, "What did you fail at this week?" And she'd have to come up with something that she tried that she failed at. And so in interviews, she talks about that her father helped normalize failure as a part of our life experiences. And for all of you out there, failure is actually a successful feat. Okay. failure is actually a successful feat. And when you aren't afraid of failure, you can start to follow your path and follow the ways to get there. And following your intuition is actually an incredible thing. I didn't start out as an energy intuitive, right? I was terrified of being an energy intuitive. So, the more comfortable profession to choose through many different bouts, and I tell this story in previous episodes, so I won't go there, but I basically found myself randomly on a meditation hike that I did in Colorado. I found myself with this idea of becoming a hairdresser, and I'm like, that sounds absolutely absurd. But I knew in my body it was the truth in the moment. And so working at a high-end boutique salon on the west end of Pearl Street in downtown Boulder, I built a really great clientele working with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of startup founders, a lot of their wives, and just these really creative people. And guess what? I'm in, doing their hair. They're sitting in my chair, and I was a trained psychologist. I didn't finish my training, but I went through it. And I will tell you from personal experience, people tell their hairdressers 1,000 times more than they tell their therapist. And I found it fascinating as I was behind the hairdresser's chair, getting all these downloads from all these people about their whole life story, more detail oriented and more vulnerable and more intimate than they would have ever told me if I was their therapist. And so I got
Feature list phone information.
this incredible experience, right? Of being able to be inside, sort of like a fly on a wall, getting inside information on these intimate details of people's lives. And then I was able to dive deep with them as a hairdresser, right? And so after my hairdressing days, I applied that information, because the truth is I was only charging $50 an hour. And, I loved being a hairdresser, but it was tiring, right? It was a lot of standing on my feet, and it was a lot of energy 24/7. So not only am I using my brain to sort of consult on the side as curiosity, it was just a natural thing I did, right? But I was also having to make sure their hair looked good, because we all know, like you got to trust your hairdresser, otherwise it can be quite a challenging thing. They're in charge of a big part of how we identify ourselves. And so yesterday I was on this beautiful hike in Aspen, with some friends, um, and yeah, cool. We're doing sound check. So if you guys hear a strange voice, it's part of it, because we do take live callers on the show. So if you actually have a specific question about your life, the more vulnerable you are, the better. We don't want to hear your whole life story, but you can tell us a little bit, and I'm happy to give you a little download, my intuitive hit on where you might be stuck or where you might be able to open the door to a new possibility in your life. So when we fix the phones, but feel free to call in. So if you hear a sound, we are sound checking. So, but yesterday I was on this hike in Aspen, Colorado in the fall. It's October. It's absolutely beautiful out. And I'm hiking with this woman, and I start asking her about her life story. And she's in her 30s and ready for a new phase of life, and has been basically building a company, and has a successful event company with her husband. And I just was like, how'd you do it? And she goes, at some point, Katherine, I decided that I had to go 100% all in. She goes, I realized that I kind of was on the fence. And so I had one foot in stability, in a paycheck, but I was unhappy. And I had another foot in wanting to sort of start my own thing, but I wasn't trusting myself. She goes, when I took that leap of faith, that's when it all happened. And I know that's my experience. And out of all of the successful people I know, it's usually their experience too, is you can't really have 100% success if you're 50-50, right? One foot in one reality and another foot in another reality. And so, for all of you out there that may be on the verge of a life change or a life transition, I want to invite you to go 2 feet in both sides of the coin. So, what do I mean by that? If you are in a career and you keep thinking about wanting to start your own thing, for, 10 minutes, hang out, 30 minutes, take it on a walk out in nature, hang out with the idea of being 2 feet in, staying in your career, right? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What would you lose if you stayed in that career? What would you gain if you stayed in that career? Right? When we make life changes, we tend to focus on what we're going to lose and we rarely look at what we might gain. So you want to look at both sides of the coin, right? 2 feet in. And then on the other side of the spectrum, spend 10 minutes, 30 minutes, take a walk in nature with the other side of the coin, which is you want to start your own thing. Go 2 feet in, feel what it feels like to be your own boss. Feel what it feels like to have to be responsible for your own financial well-being. Feel what it feels like to maybe be a little terrified about the financial piece, but then also recognize that there's no ceiling on what you could make if you were to take that leap 2 feet in on your own thing that you'd like to start. And so, with every situation, I have people who are unsure of what they want to do next in their relationship. And they've been in, long term committed relationship, whether it's marriage or a long term partner or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And I say, hey, there's no right or wrong here. This is your life and your choice. And so, hang out with the choice, 2 feet in staying, 2 feet in going, 2 feet in staying, 2 feet in going. And so, what happens and why we get conflicted and why it's hard for us to listen to our intuition in taking that leap is because we have one foot in each world. And when we're split, when we're in conflict, when we're not congruent, when we're not in alignment, we're not standing 2 feet in the same place, it is really hard to hear those intuitive hits or those whispers of where to go to next, which I think is a pretty critical sort of distinction when you're wanting to take a leap into a new area of life, right? And so, for all of you out there, I just want to say, wherever you are in your life, congratulations, right? You got there. You didn't get there just by accident. And everything that happens to us is information moving forward. Doesn't mean you dwell on the past, right? And a lot of people who want to take a leap forward, who really paralyze themselves and let the fear and the overwhelm overtake their choice, they're not allowing themselves the gift of just practicing in their mind, spending 2 feet in the possibility of taking a leap of faith in you, a leap of faith, because the universe always has your back. So it's not necessarily a leap of faith in the universe is always there. The question is, are you there with you when you take that leap? And so don't let fear paralyze you. Know that if fear is coming up in your life, it's actually a really good sign. It's a sign that you are on the path to opening the door to new information, right? New possibilities, new experiences, new life growth. And the question I ask everyone is, are you willing to trust you to take the leap? What do you need to do to make sure your nervous system is safe? So, going back to my story of my mom in the beginning, she took that leap. It freaked her out. Her nervous system got a little out of whack for a short amount of time. And my mom went on to, be more successful, make more money, have her own company. There's more to that story than just that. It wasn't all like sunshine and rainbows and ease, right? There were lots of sort of life tests. The point is, life tests us at every turn to want to grow, right? Life tests us in that sort of navigation of, are we willing to let go a little bit more, to trust ourselves a little bit more, to take a leap of faith a little bit more. So, more on taking a leap of faith when we get back from break. Stay tuned.
OMTimes TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Katherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my magical friends, welcome back. And today we're talking about how to take the leap, right? A leap in doing what you love, or, leaving a relationship, or choosing a relationship, or starting your own thing. This really, you can apply this to any and every area of your life. And the truth is that sometimes we give fear a bad rap. But the truth is that fear, right? Fear and excitement are the exact same vibration. 99.9% of the time, we label the energy that we're perceiving, we label it as fear, but usually it's actually excitement. And so what happens is we give fear a bad rap, like, oh, I shouldn't be afraid. No, I've heard from famous musicians, and I don't remember who it was. It was like something like Beyonce or Adele or someone like that. They said, or Pink, they said, the day that I'm about to go on stage where my palms don't get sweaty and I don't get nervous is the day I should probably quit performing. And so it really shocked me because the deal is we have this crazy idea that we're not supposed to feel this energy that we label as fear. But really, if you use it to your advantage, you'll start to discover that a lot of times that energy is excitement. And so, a great question to ask yourself in that moment is this fear or is this excitement? And so I wanted to set you guys up for a few examples of what you can do in your life if this is resonating with you and you're on that precipice of some form of change in your life and you want to know how to take the leap. The deal is that we have this preconceived notion that it's scary, that it's overwhelming, that it's, oh my gosh, if I'm afraid, then I probably shouldn't do it. What if I fail? What if I'm not successful? And we go through these sort of what ifs in our world. And if you're there, congratulations, you're one step closer to taking the leap, right? Those things should be there, right? Welcome them as a sign that you're on the right path, right? I used to say if I'm getting like a bad review or if I have a hater, then I'm on the right path to sort of sharing the information and the truth that I want to share in the world to make an impact, because I believe that every single one of us has the capacity to live our genius. Not everyone will, but everyone has the capacity. And so the point is that if you're feeling those feelings of anxiety or fear or worry or uncertainty, it's a really good sign that you're one step closer to taking that leap of faith in you. And so, one of the things that you can do every day is you can start to ask, what can I do every day to get me closer? And I will tell you, one of the things that has been monumental in my own personal evolution in a lot of my clients is they got to believe it. You got to believe it, not fake it till you make it, but you got to get used to this idea of believing that it could be possible for you. So, can you start believing that you could have the body you've always wanted, right? And so what I do with people that I work with and in my group coaching, and I have a lot of programs, one on body, two, I do one on intuitive energy course, which is like coming up soon, and it's my favorite course to teach because it teaches you so much about your intuition and so much about working with energy to really create anything in your life. It's pretty amazing, and it's specifically geared towards people who really want to kind of take a leap of faith in their own career as possibly an energy worker or a healer or an intuitive consultant. It's a pretty amazing experience. But the point is that when you begin to believe that it could be possible, right? So I didn't believe that I could make multiple six figures as an energy healer. So I went and sold real estate. And then I got tired of real estate and I was like, oh, hairdressing. Hairdressing led me to be this intuitive, right? Because I realized the information and the advice I was offering and the questions I was asking was changing the people whose hair I was cutting in a lot of different ways, right? In relationship and money and business and finance and overall happiness. It was quite amazing. And so this leap of faith that you're about to take in yourself is you got to believe and see that it's possible for you. And so one of the things I talk about is you want to start walking as if. I go on walks every day, right? I kind of, for now, temporarily hung up the idea of running up mountains and mountain biking up mountains and biking up mountains. And now I just walk. And I've really spent the last 9 months working on sort of balancing my nervous system. Right. I had a session today with an energy healer, and they were like, wow, you're balanced. And I'm like, good. I need that. I need that. That's what I've been practicing, and that's what I've been working on. And so one of the things that I do is when I'm walking, I walk as if what I want to have happen is already happening and I feel it. So it's tasting it, smelling it, touching it, right? I had this shamanic teacher who used to teach this course in manifesting. And he told a story one day. He'd always wanted a Range Rover, right? Or a Land Rover, one of the two. And the story is about 15, 20 years old. So, um, and he's no longer with us, but I'll tell the story. And he was telling it. He's like, I really wanted this Range Rover. It was like, I think it was like dark green or forest green or black. And he wanted the like tan leather interior. And this man is like this big, giant, African American man, beautiful soul. And he wanted this Range Rover. And so he's like, I could see myself driving it. I could feel myself driving it. I could hear the music I was playing as the windows were rolled down and driving on the highway, the Hawaiian coast, and like the wind coming through the windows. He's like, I could feel it all. He goes, but the one thing I couldn't do is I couldn't get a taste for what it was like to drive the car, right? He was talking about using his five senses: taste, touch, sound, smell, and feel. And so he goes to the dealership and he's like, hey, can I test drive the Range Rover? It was the color he wanted. It was the interior he wanted. It had the sunroof, the moonroof, all the stuff. And so this guy takes him on a test drive, and he's driving, right? And the salesman is in the passenger seat. And so, they take an extra long drive. He floors it. He's like having the blast, and he pulls back into the dealership and he realizes he still can't taste what it tastes like. And so as they pull in, as he puts the car in park, he looks at the salesman, and he looks forward and he looks back at the salesman, and he looks forward and he sticks out his tongue and he licks the steering wheel. And then the guy looks at him and he's like, had to taste it, right? And, soon after that, he was able to drive that Range Rover out of that parking lot, and he became the owner of a car he had always dreamed of. And so there's these little things that we can do every day to get ourselves in the mindset of it is possible, right? You can walk as if, you can feel it, you can taste it, you can touch it, you can sense it, you can smell it, all those things that you can do. And it's about being diligent with doing them, not just once, because if you go to a weight room or a gym once, or a trainer once to get fit and in shape, and you lift weights once in your entire life, and you don't walk or run or, take care of yourself physically, you can't expect to be fit and healthy. It's doing the repetition that creates it as a habit. And it's the same thing mentally with our dreams. When we do the repetition to get ourselves into this idea that it could be possible, that you can envision it, that you can see yourself as it, makes all the difference in the world. I'm telling you, all the difference in the world. And so, my friends, I want to challenge you, because when we start to create a routine that is a routine that energizes your future, right? I talk about this in my 6-month coaching course, Fuel Your Future. I talk about it in a lot of different ways, but you want to do small things over time, right? One of the things I've incorporated 2 glasses of water every day, walking every possible day, meditating every day, getting myself in this place, calming my nervous system, doing somatic exercises, right? Regulating so that I can be prepared for the possibilities. And so it's not hard, but what can be hard is breaking the mental habits that make you believe you can't. I'm going to say that again. It's not hard, right? But what can be hard is breaking the mental habits that maintain the limitation that you can't. Pretty, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And so, my friends, 20 years ago, I was doing real estate because I wanted to make multiple 6 figures, having the lifestyle. And I thought that if I went into real estate, I'd have enough time to do my energy work on the side. My limiting belief was that I couldn't make enough money just doing energy work. And so that fateful day on my meditation in Lyons, Colorado, on this meditation hike, when this moment came down and this voice came out of the sky basically and was like, the healing hands hairdresser. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, a hairdresser? No way. But guess what? It was the energy of what I'd been asking for. So I got to have the experience of seeing how gifted I was at being a consultant, of being an energy intuitive, of working with people, of witnessing the life, like their lives change in front of my eyes, their businesses change, their relationships change, all that stuff in front of my eyes. I was like, oh, that gave me the confidence to then, once I got pregnant with my son, take a leap after I had birthed him to start my own thing. And so the how to leap isn't to get in your brain and be logical, right? Like this hike yesterday with this person I just met. She's like, I had to go all in. And I said, what happened when you went all in? She goes, I started to be successful. I was like, exactly. And so it doesn't matter what it is, right? But for you, going all in, and going all in, by the way, doesn't mean I'm going to try this thing really hard for a long time. But in trying this thing for a long time, I still have a belief that I can't. The belief will always win over the action, right? Belief will always win over the action. And so when you're preparing yourself for the possibility of having something you've never had before, of creating something you've never created before, of starting a business you've never started before, you can't sort of figure out the whole thing starting out. You just have to take it step by step. But the biggest step you can take is in getting your mindset right to believe that it's possible. I didn't believe it was possible to have multiple 6 figures, travel the world, have time freedom, raise a child by myself, right? I didn't believe any of that was possible. And I probably wouldn't have done it if I thought that that's what my life was going to look like. Not because I don't love like I have an amazing life, but because my brain couldn't comprehend how to do that. So I had to take these small steps, right? And the way that I took those small steps is if the energy around what I was looking at felt really expansive and at the same time scary and exciting. Remember, fear and excitement, same vibration. If I felt that quality, I said yes and figured it out along the way. And so some of you are stopping yourselves with your limiting beliefs and saying no when you actually desire to say yes. If you say yes and it scares the crap out of you, you're following those moments in your life that actually make it quite expansive and quite exciting. And so when I took my sort of leave of absence from being a hairdresser in order to, raise my son, I thought that I would just take a leave of absence and come back to hair, right? But as my son was born, as I had a month or two as a, stay-at-home mom spending time with him, I started to go, "Oh, I'm hungry to create my own thing, to start something that I can really believe in and get behind." And so I started it for the sheer love of it. I also started it because when my son was, I think it was 2 or 3 months old, I was like, if I don't do something, right? My husband had quit his job. We were in big trouble. And so it was kind of like my desire for what I'd always wanted to do, my dream in my life, and sort of my need to do something sort of just blended together. And I just followed it step by step, but I didn't set the business up ahead of time. The business sort of set itself up and showed me where it needed me to go instead of me telling it where to go. And I think that's a big distinction. Business is a conscious entity. Your body is a conscious entity. You can't tell something where to go. You can only start the process, and then you follow the energy and co-create with this conscious entity step by step by step. And if you would have told me 20 years ago that I would be teaching my own energy work, that I would have traveled around the world, that I would have been working with famous people and some of the world's coolest people and wealthiest people, I would have been like, yeah, right. And I walked my way into that step by step by step. And currently, I'm able to teach people from around the world how to set up a successful energy business, right? I have this course coming up called the Intuitive Energy Course. It's online. You get private coaching with me where I get to help you discover one, how it is you read energy, how you perceive energy, how you see energy, because we all see it different. I don't want anyone to be like me, right? And I don't want to be like anyone else. It's about unfolding and unraveling and sort of revealing that innate wisdom inside each of us that then allows you to take your innate wisdom and make a difference in the world in the way that you'd like to, right? And every single person is different. And so if you are out there and you're listening and you are interested in intuitive work, if you are out there and you are an astrologer or a psychic or a tarot reader, or you do acupuncture or Reiki or massage therapy, and you want to take your work to the next level, I highly encourage you to check out my website, katherinemcintosh.com. You can see the course there. The cool thing about this course, which I've never done before, is you pay once or you pay over time, right? There's a payment plan. And once you join the course and you pay, you have not only lifetime access to the course and any updated information that I put in the course and any bonuses I offer now and in the future, but you also have access to join the course with me where you get that live coaching with me for life. So every time I do this course, I plan on doing it 2 times a year, every year. And maybe some years we'll do once a year, but at least once a year, if not twice a year, I'm going to do this course. And you get to join the course for free every time I offer it live. It's pretty amazing. You pay once and you also get a certificate. It's one of my favorite things. And one of the new modules that I'm sort of revealing as a bonus in this next live launch, which starts really soon, is I'm going to teach a business module. And so how to have a successful career as an energy healer, as an intuitive, as a consultant, whatever you want to call it, and how to set your business up in a way that you set yourself up for success. And so, as you take a leap of faith in yourself, there's never a perfect time, right? There's never the right time, but when it is the right time, there's going to be an energy in your system that feels both scary and exciting at the same time. That's when you know it's time. It's also a clue that if you're really frustrated and everything in your current environment is just bugging you out and you don't like it, right? Like I just moved. My old house was letting me know it was time to let it go and to move. So I'm in this new house with a ton of land, a labyrinth on my property, deer and moose and even bear. They come eat the crab apples right outside my front door, and I get to commune in nature. We all get to those moments. If you're at that frustrating moment in your life, that's a sign that you're getting ready to take a leap. And you can either talk yourself out of taking that leap because it doesn't feel practical or the right time, right? It's never the right time. It really isn't ever the right time. Ask anyone who has a baby. It's never the right time. You just have to be willing, right? And be ready to sort of take that leap of faith in yourself. And so I wanted to take a moment because I had a live coaching call with a really special group of people. And one of them on there is from Israel. And for those of you that may or may not know, Israel is going through some massive change. And here's what happened in this coaching call, without going into detail, is we knew she wasn't on, right? And we knew it was time to contribute to her family, to the country, to the people. And so we closed our eyes and I said to everyone before they started, I said, here's how you're going to know that you're far more powerful at change than you give yourself credit for. Because the truth is, it's so much easier to contribute to someone else changing their life, right? To give full on, because when you contribute to someone else, here's a huge clue in taking a leap is you're not attached to any expectation of what they're going to do with that contribution. Now, take your significant other out of this conversation because some of you are attached. You have an expectation. But like in this case, we're just contributing to this beautiful, amazing, gorgeous woman, right? And her family and the country and the buildings around her and all that. And we were just contributing, right? And we get done contributing, right? And all of a sudden she pops on. Now, we were almost done with the whole class. It had been an hour plus, and she just knew to get on at that time, literally right when we were all contributing to her. And I said to everyone, see, you all have the power. Now I want you to take that power and I want you to turn it towards contributing to you and your life in an area of your life you would like contribution on. But here's the hardest part for all of us is letting go of the expectation of what it looks like, of needing to see the results, of what it feels like, right? And so, my friends, here is a great way to sort of get out of your own head if you're ready for a change, is spend every day 2 to 3 minutes a day, 5 minutes if you want, and contribute to somebody in your life or something in your life. Maybe you want to contribute to Israel, and all you have to do is ask, right? Here's some energy, right? Maybe you want to contribute to the earth. Maybe you want to contribute to the planets. Maybe you want to contribute to your mother or your mother-in-law or someone that in your life could use some extra energy. And you just contribute to them in whatever form, whatever way you need to, whatever way you see as a possibility without an expectation. And then I want you to feel how it feels. Notice that it creates some change. And then I want you to turn that sort of inward towards you and contribute in that same way without an expectation to an area of your life that you would like to grow. So, my friends, inside of you are all the resources and all the possibilities for you to take a leap of faith in yourself and in what's next for you. It can be scary moving across country or moving to a different country or taking a new job or leaving a relationship or starting a new relationship or moving in with someone. It can seem scary. But here's the deal is you have inside of you all the resources to get started. You just have to take those small things, small habits every day that you can do to get yourself in the belief that it's possible for you. And I promise you, the universe will show you that it was worth trusting you and it in the process. So, my magical friends, my challenge to you is contribute to someone or something every day for the next 7 days, and then turn it around, contribute to you without an expectation, and see in the next 7 days if something in your life changes. So, thank you for being here with me today, sending some extra energy to Israel, and just, send in light. My friends, you are a light. And I said to my friend, I said, where there is peace, right? Peace, like sometimes peace can get destroyed to try to destroy it to make it even more solid. So we're on a path for even more consciousness, more peace, more possibilities in the world. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you next week.
Katherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.